fantasy on us all.
Welcome to Davey Dave's Take. Today we are talking about The Last Voyage of the Demeter, the film based off the chapter from the Dracula novel. A crew sailing from Carpathia to England find they are carrying very dangerous cargo. I knew nothing about this film. I mean, truly nothing. I saw there's a screening tonight for it, and I thought, why not? I'll go give it a shot. And someone at the screening told me that this is a film based off one of the chapters in the Dracula novel. Or I'm not sure if it's one or many. What I'm trying to tell you is I didn't know anything about this film, and I really know nothing about Dracula. I was never really into Dracula. I know there's a bunch of different variations of it. There's probably a bunch of lore behind it that I would probably find very interesting, but it's something I never really got into. So for someone who doesn't really know anything about Dracula, I thought this film was just fine. There are parts about this film I thought are done well, but there's a lot of issues with The Last Voyage of the Demeter. I'll first say I gotta give the movie credit that it seems like it's trying to be true to the source material for how the monster's supposed to look like. When I think of Dracula, I honestly think of the version that like Nick Cage played in the new Renfield movie. That's how I see Dracula. And The Last Voyage of the Demeter, they actually make him into this scary monster. And I think it works for the most part, but there are times where the monster can come off as a little silly. And that's probably my biggest issue with this film, which is I get what they're going for. They want a more serious tone to Dracula because I feel like we haven't gotten something like that in a while. They want to be more true to the source material. They want to make this a really intense and scary film like the novels are supposed to be. And honestly, I just think some of the execution wasn't done well here because there are a lot of moments in this film that are supposed to be really intense, but honestly, they come off as kind of silly. And don't get me wrong, that can always be fun sometimes. Your movie just turns into total schlock. But the film takes itself so serious that there are tonal issues because there are parts where things are happening that are supposed to be really serious and intense, and my theater was laughing. That's not supposed to happen in your scary Dracula movie. There are some shots I really like, and the production here does feel like a big, epic movie. I'm curious to see what the budget on this film is because I have a bad feeling that no one's going to see this film this weekend. But I did like the set design and some of the sequences. It did remind me of Alien on a ship, and that's exactly what the director was going for. And I think there are parts where that is pulled off pretty well, but a lot of it doesn't work. And like I said, it has to do with the execution. Like, for example, when we finally see Dracula for the first time, or a character finally sees Dracula for the first time, the way it's set up, the way it's framed, the way it's edited, it's supposed to come off as this scary moment, but it just looks so silly. It was almost like a joke. It's hard to pinpoint why it was like that because I do like the character design for Dracula in this movie. He does look kind of scary, but there are just moments with timing throughout this film that just gives off the wrong vibe that it's going for. Also, the script isn't great here, and I don't know if it's direct dialogue from the book. If that's the case, then I'd take it back. I think it's true to the source material. But I have a feeling it's not because this is based off of one chapter of a book. So they have to drag it out for a 2-hour movie, which, by the way, definitely could have been shorter. So the dialogue doesn't really help the tone of the film. But there are things I did enjoy. I thought Corey Hawkins was great as the lead. I thought he did a really good job. And like I said, there are some shots and some sequences and some parts of the set design that I really enjoyed. And overall, it does have this like epic feel to it. And I do applaud them for trying to make a Dracula movie that's more true to the source material and not trying to make it this silly movie. But unfortunately, there are some execution issues where this film does feel a little silly and it takes itself a little bit too serious. But if you're a huge fan of Dracula, I'm sure there's a lot of things you'll like about this film. But for me, someone who's not into Dracula at all and doesn't really know anything about Dracula, this film does feel somewhat forgettable. I'm going to give The Last Voyage of the Demeter 5 Davey Daves. I have a bad feeling this film is going to get crushed this weekend. I haven't seen like any marketing for it. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to come out in January, so I have no idea what's going on. I just have this bad feeling that it's going to be a giant flop. So, The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Let me know what you guys thought of it once you've seen it. I'm curious to hear. And thank you so much for watching. Click here to see more Davey Dave's Takes.